company?
Well, I run a company called StoryLeague, which is a content creation agency. So we typically focus on property and finance brands. We do have customers who are outside of that, of course, but basically what we do is enable our customers to tell powerful, important stories across social media and their websites, landing pages, ebooks, and that sort of thing. So for me, I started as a journalist a very long time ago. I'm 39 now, so I'm no spring chicken. And I learnt and saw firsthand the power of storytelling and the impact that that can have on an audience. Then I went and worked in politics and corporate, and I saw what happens when you try and tell someone without a story. It doesn't connect, it doesn't engage, and our politicians wonder why nobody likes them. That's a significant reason as to why. So that's where it triggered for me that maybe we can help some brands really boost their digital footprint. And that's the way the world's gone, as you know. And so that's why we exist at the end of the day, to build their brand and generate leads through them through social media, typically.
Amazing. And how did you land with that target market?
For property and finance, they both kind of found us, really. There's no special sauce behind the scenes. It was just a case of all the leads that were coming our way from day one have been property or finance related. So there's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. It just seems that they're two industries that have needed our help, and they've been open to that. And that's how it's built from there. So we didn't initially start by niching into property and finance. We would take anyone and everyone as any founder or freelancer would understand. That's typically the way it starts, because you just want to prove your concept. But we've been around we're into our 6th year now. So it's just been a case of really trying to identify why we resonate with those two target industries and niche down and target them. And that's what's happened for us. So, I can't give you any inside intel as to how we knew it was going to work. It's just that's where the leads were coming from.
Love it. And you've gone with it. Awesome.
Absolutely. And look, that's what you've got to do in business in the early stages. You've just got to know that you've got an idea or a product or a service that's needed, and then that's backed up by an audience segment. And if it continues to go down that path, then you'd be stupid not to follow it. So that's all we've really done. We just looked and sort of said, okay, these are the industries that are responding well to what we're doing. So let's go with it, and it's worked.
Definitely. Are there any platforms that are the most used in those industries? Social media, got LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest.
Yep. So
there's a lot.
There is, and there's, as the journey continues, there'll be more and more social platforms. So the big ones right now for us are LinkedIn and Instagram. In particular, finance likes LinkedIn, and property likes a lot of Instagram, particularly real estate agents, because it's very visual, so they can do a walkthrough of a house that they're selling or wanting to rent or things like that. But then there's the more finance brands, which are a bit more focused on LinkedIn, because the audience typically on LinkedIn is a bit more professional. So professionals looking to secure their financial future. That's obviously a really sweet spot for finance brands. So they're the big two ones that we play in. We don't actually get a lot of traction from Facebook for any one of our customers or even ourselves. We still do put up content, and it just doesn't seem to work anywhere near as well. And TikTok is an emerging platform for most businesses. I think some have obviously taken to it reasonably early and are having some success. But conversations in terms of finance and property brands, TikTok, it's starting to happen. They're starting to see the benefit of it. So we're going down that path. But the big two are definitely LinkedIn and Instagram for us.
Nice. Yeah, I would say the same with TikTok. It still confuses me about what sort of audience is actually on there. Is it the younger generation? Is it, the actual 30-year-olds that are like, okay, we've gone on Instagram, now let's check this out? It's always
Surprisingly, it's becoming that. Yeah. So most people, and this is the sticking point for a lot of brands. They think it's the young generation. You've just got to get on there and do something stupid. And well, look, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that's the case when you see some of the videos that come out. But what, in terms of a real estate agent, what they don't get right now is, while it is typically a platform for the younger generation are going to become first home buyers soon enough. So you might as well get on there and start building your trust and your authority and get in front of them. So when the time is right for them to buy or sell a property or whatever it might be, they know who your brand is and they trust you. So it's a long-term game for people, or for brands in particular, on TikTok.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's not just, it's not going to take a month to get your brand out there. It is a long-term strategy.
No, it's not.
The people are like, okay, I want to see results now. And you're like, it's not going to happen that way.
It's very true. And how do you deal with that with your customers? Because that's a conversation we have regularly. It's the instant gratification because they've grown up or they understand an environment where everything happens in seconds now. Lead generation on social media is a slower burn. So yeah, you talk me through that. How do you go about it?
100%. So I try and get my clients locked in for 3 months to start with, to say, give it a go. This is where you'll see the results. I've had some go, okay, I just want to do a month. I'm like, no. By the time you've connected with someone on LinkedIn, that's a couple of weeks later. That month, you've barely got a conversation going. And to keep that growing across hundreds of people, you can't keep up with that. So you need 3 months to see what you're getting. I've got an amazing client in Melbourne in video production. They have got 70 leads in 90 days. 70 people. They're like, cool, I'd love some more information. Here's my email. I'm like, even I didn't see it going that way.
Well, there you go. It's just a reward for your good work.
So having those conversations, it doesn't happen overnight. These have been there for, 3-4 weeks. And it builds. It's building that online connection, which is the same with branding. You're building a connection to a brand.
Absolutely.
So what sort of content would you suggest to post on LinkedIn? Because I do this for my clients as well, and I probably have the same conversations.
Well, I actually think there's a big opportunity for a lot more video content. So you look at all the personal branding people and they're forever banging on about building your personal brand. It's all text-based and it works for them. So it clearly works for other people as well. But I reckon posting a lot more video, piece-to-camera videos about your thoughts on industry. Your story is obviously a very big one. I reckon that's a massive opportunity for brands or individuals going forward because at the moment, it seems to be the social platform that relies a lot less on video content, certainly in terms of the customers that we're working with or what I'm seeing from the platform itself. So that's a really big opportunity. They've got to be in real format because most people will watch on YouTube or scroll on mobile phones. So make sure they're optimized for that. Keep them short, keep them punchy. And that typically means having a video script to play as well. So a video script is a guide. You don't have to follow it word by word. But if you don't have something in there, if you don't have an understanding of what you want to say, you're going to waffle and you're going to lose people very quickly. So video is really, really important. Things like carousel posts are a great way to visualize long-term concepts into short-form content, which is what people want these days. So that's obviously you scroll through each different card. I think the marker is about 15 slides or cards is what LinkedIn wants to see from you. So it takes a little bit more work, but there are some pretty nifty ways to get around that, to extend the message across 15 cards. So that's another really big one. And I mentioned it before, the really concise opinion piece works really, really strongly as well. So as long as your opinion is supported by the target audience that you want to connect with, then you shouldn't hold back in saying it. I know we live in an offense generation and someone wants to cancel you for absolutely nothing. But the reality is, if you're not an idiot, if you're not saying something that's racist, sexist, and a whole bunch of other homophobic or all those sorts of things, and why would you? then it should be okay that you have an opinion on a particular topic because you're an expert in that space, and it's also supported by the people you want to connect with. So don't shy away from having an opinion, and that means a really strong hook for your copy-based posts. So the big ones there: videos, carousel posts, and yeah, I'm still a big fan of longer form copy on LinkedIn as well, as long as it's got some sort of supplementary image of yourself or whatever the topic is at hand. It'll go okay.
Definitely. I have found that as well. When I post on my LinkedIn, it's more my personal post that gets the more engagement. If I go, I have been
Absolutely.
to 32 countries and I've listed them, and people are like, oh wow, I've been here. And it's a
Yep.
conversation. They're getting to know about me and not just the business. They're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'll relate to that.
Absolutely. I can echo to that too, Jordan. If I put up a personal post, a personal story, it always does better than an educational piece. And that is consistent right across the board of the customers that we're working with as well. And, it just goes back to the belief behind Story League that stories sell. So it works. And I'll really encourage people to post more personal stories. You don't have to go too personal, but people want a glimpse into the person that you are, and the best way to do that is to create content around it.
Exactly. People want to trust people these days, is what you're seeing now. It's like if there's no person behind a brand, or if there's no person there to go, okay, who can I ask questions to? Who will I be working with? That's going to be such a big one, especially for agencies.
Absolutely.
You're like, if I don't see who I'm going to be dealing with, then I probably won't go with them.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it just goes back to the age-old belief that people buy from people. And if you're not Nike or Apple, people aren't rusted onto your brand right now, but they can be if there's a person that they can warm to and trust. And that starts generally with the founder, the business owner, putting themselves front and center in their content.
Yeah. So, talking on personal content, what is too much? What is not? What have you had for breakfast? What have you done on the weekend with your family? This is my daily routine. Where does it go on LinkedIn?
How much is too much is a question that needs to be answered by the person who is posting. So we've got a wide range of people, customers that we're working with who have different viewpoints on that. So we can give them some guidance around it. Some have much more of an appetite for risk and danger, like I do. If you see my LinkedIn posts, I'm quite happy. One of them a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that being ghosted is bullshit. It's one of the biggest posts I've had on there. Yet behind the scenes, I had a bunch of sales trainers all criticize me for that, saying I'm an epic failure if this has happened. I'm a colossal embarrassment. I should take it down. And I'm like, one, you don't understand the strategy behind that. And the strategy was to start connecting with brands or people, and it worked because we've got 3 leads out of that. They don't know it, so it actually works quite well. But the other is to be authentic, an authentic business owner. And we all deal with situations where we get ghosted. So it was a great post. I was never going to take it down. But some people would say that's going too far with having an opinion. I'm okay with that. Look, things that don't really work for me are posts about people talking about their dating life or things like that. That's just me. If they're happy to do it, then they're happy to do it, and that's fine. But I would kind of typically get professional people away from that. It can still work too. So it really just comes back to your appetite for risk or for danger, or how you want to be seen in the world, as to how far you go with the personal side of it. But there are limits on it, but it's for a conversation that you have within a content strategy before you actually start posting anyway. So all those things will be corrected and addressed before you're actually creating posts on it anyway.
Yeah, completely agree. I've seen posts, this is my dog, my family, and they get the most views because someone else can relate to them.
Absolutely.
Like, I've got a family, I've got a dog. Where do you go dog walking? What, just small conversations. Amazing.
By no means do I consider myself a star at all. But what I can tell you is if I put up a post about my daughter, she is a bigger star than I am because people are much more interested in what she's up to, which is not much because she's only one. She kind of runs around and that's about it, and sleeps a couple of times during the day. So nothing overly exciting, but people are much more interested in that than, here's something that went wrong for me in business. So so yeah, you're right. Kids and pets work really, really well. Obviously, with kids, you've got to be a little bit subtle about how you go about it. You don't want to give too much information, too many images or whatever, because we live in a pretty insidious world these days. But kids and pets can work really well.
Exactly. So what is your favorite content to deal with? Is it written? Is it video? What do you think is your favorite?
In terms of me, I'm a writer at heart. I used to be a journalist and wrote several news articles and whatever else over the journey. I still like the power of the word because it's a creative process. So I'd say that's my favourite one. I'm becoming more and more familiar with video content, which is something my social media manager has been cracking the whip on.
Do it.
So yeah, well, we are. I mean, I'll be rolling out a video per week next year. We've already started recording for that. We've also got a documentary series in there for longer form content, which I'm really, really excited about. So I'll be hosting that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I won't give too much away now, but there'll be a couple of documentaries going out next year, which documentary filmmaking is a passion and an interest of mine, particularly when it's the right story, which it will be because we've decided what the stories are. So there'll just be a lot more video content going out for me next year. So yeah, videos are on the improve or on the incline with me, but I'm not going to lose the ability to write short, sharp, engaging copy-based posts as well, because they work really, really well. And if anything, it just provides me a creative outlet. So I can post it, my thoughts, my feelings, my personal stories, and people resonate with it. So they'll be the two big ones that we continue with next year.
Amazing. Geez, 2024 is going to be big, huh?
That's the plan, Jordan. So I've learnt after nearly 6 years in business, though, whether it's big or whether it fails or whether there's a mistake is often determined by the market, not us. But we've got some pretty big plans that we want to achieve next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get there.
That's awesome. So personally for you, do you still write in a notepad? Or are you all digital based now? Or do you have your phone there to write notes in?
Yeah, I take notes on a notepad, but when it comes to the actual creation piece, I would write that on a Word doc or something. So I've heard of some creators doing it through platforms like Notion and whatever else. That just does not work for me whatsoever. So it's got to be a Google Drive or a Word doc or something like that where you can actually see the words on the page and it corrects the spelling and whatever it might be. So but Notepad for notes, given it's in the name. And I'll jot down story ideas when I'm on the go or wherever it comes up, I do that on my mobile phone as well, and just know that there's a record there. And when I've got time to sit down and actually start creating, straight through to a Word doc and write it down and then edit down even further.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, now we have mobile phones, we can just whip them out and be like, I've got an idea, I need to write this down right now. And you won't forget it.
Yep, doesn't take long. So, and you're right. The amount of times I've had a really good idea and didn't note it down, and then 20 minutes later, I'm like, pretty sure it was a good idea, but I can't remember now. And it could have been an amazing post, and it's disappeared. So, always take it down. I mean, we're on our phones for everything else anyway. So, social media, texting, calling, whatever. So, to take a note, just jot it down is not difficult. So, it's a really good practice to get into.
Exactly. And that's for any business, really. If you've got something going on in your head, you're like, that could work. I need to think about this later. Put it down on paper. Put it down on your phone.
It's not even for just content or marketing. It's, business ideas work that way, or, presents for your loved one, whatever it might be. It's just keep a record of it so you don't forget, because we are smashed these days with messages and things. So it's pretty easy to forget something of substance.
Definitely. So on the road of content, Do you think there is, as you've said, too much content out there? How are people engaging with content now on their phones? What messages do they take in really quickly? Run me through something.
There is way too much content out there now. You're probably not going to hear that from another content creation agency, but there is. So it's the stats on it are, it's something like 5,000 blogs are posted every minute of every day. 300 hours of video content is uploaded to YouTube every minute. There's 50 million podcasts available, and that doesn't count for the actual episodes of each podcast as well. So, look, the world does not need more content. I say that to our customers or our leads all the time, but what it does need is more genuine stories. So that's the cut through point here. So it really doesn't matter where you do it, if it's in a video form or it's in a text-based post or it's a quote post, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. There is an opportunity, but the opportunity comes back to storytelling, and that's backed up by so much academic evidence, it's ridiculous. So there's something like, if you tell someone a piece of data, they have a 10% chance of remembering it, but if you share it with a story, it goes up to 70%. So that's research from Stanford University. So quite clearly, if you want to cut through in a very, very saturated market, tell unique, genuine stories. And the other thing about it is everyone's looking for a point of difference in their content. Your story is the most unique thing you have in your marketing because nobody else has it. It's yours. It's genuine and no one can steal it. Well, they might try and steal it, but it's not genuine if they do it. So in a world where everything is becoming the same, AI content creation, the way to stand out is to tell your story.
Exactly. Here's one going into AI then. Can you tell now if something is written by AI or not, especially on Instagram posting?
Yeah, pretty much. Look, don't test me because I'm sure there would be examples of where you can't. But the reality is, sure, go and post it with AI. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. But what I find really fascinating with the rise of AI is that no AI content creators actually want to deal with the point of content. They market themselves on a cost reduction and a time reduction, and that's fine. But none of them talk about the impact or the results of the content that their AI content creator actually creates, which the point of creating content is to generate leads or to build your brand, right? So, but none of them have got any stats on that. So that's the missing piece with AI. It's all well and good to do your research, but if you're relying on that to help your content generate leads, you're in big trouble.
That's true. I was going to say, I use it for ideas. Of
course, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. Go for it. It can save you time. But if it's the final product and that's what you're posting, you are ruining your brand and it's your death, not mine.
Yeah, if I see the word elevate, one more that one is everywhere, and I'm like, oh God, I can't. It's ChatGPT.
Oh, really? We actually have a LinkedIn newsletter called Elevate Real Estate. So this is a little awkward. We were doing that before the rise of AI though, so we were ahead of the bell curve at least.
That's okay then. We're good. But you see in every other Instagram post, elevated. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
It's got to be another word.
There's a lot of, well, it's generic at the end of the day. So, I mean, you think about if you're a real estate agent and there's something like 116,000 real estate agents in Australia, if they all jump on ChatGPT to generate ideas or to generate content, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get about 116,000 posts that are very, very similar, but it comes back to, the different prompts that you put in, and that's fine. That's a relevant argument. That's okay. But most people don't have the understanding of prompts and don't have the time to do it anyway. So what do we get? We get an already oversaturated market full of even more content that's very, very similar.
Yeah, with probably just a different picture of a different house. That would be the difference.
Yeah. And what will happen with this is AI will take off. It already is. People will go down that path. And then someone like a Gary Vee or someone of that ilk will say, if you want to cut through and you want to be different, go and tell a unique human story, and then the market will come flooding back to unique, genuine stories. And it's like, it's been there since the dawn of time. Stories are actually older than language itself. So, and they've worked since day one. So nothing's changing it. So if you just stick true to telling your personal, interesting, engaging stories, you'll be fine in your content, and you don't need an AI content creator for that, but you can benefit from someone who knows how to create stories, because stories are about empathy, they're about context, and they're things that AI can't do.
Definitely. I think the same. Like, all of my posts on LinkedIn, what I post is me writing something very random that no AI would be like, oh yeah, this is Jordan. This is what Jordan's like. No, it changes every day.
AI doesn't know. Yeah, absolutely.
AI doesn't know if I'm having a good day or a bad day.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't care. It's just about getting it done quickly and moving on.
Yeah, and that seems to be what a lot of people are going for these days, of just, I can get it done quick, and you're like, is it going to get you the best result?
Yeah, and then they turn around in 3 months' time, they say, oh, no, it doesn't work. Content doesn't work. And I'm like, well, how are you doing it? And if it comes back to the cheap and cheerful, well, of course it's not going to work, because it's not geared towards generating leads or building your brand. It's geared towards doing something quickly.
So how does that go with your clients, your calls, when they're like, oh, we can use AI for this?
It doesn't come up. Like, really, we have not had any major conversation with someone, a lead, because leads are coming to us, so they've obviously identified that they need something different for one. But what I am hearing a lot of now is a lot of the SEO. We know a lot of SEO agencies, and they're being flooded with people coming to them saying, you know what, we had this AI blog post written. Can you please rewrite it from a human standpoint, because Google can pick up that it's AI generated, and they're punishing them. They're punishing their SEO as a result. So that's one thing to consider very, very heavily, whether you do want to go down the path. But in terms of how we operate right now, well, we use AI for research, as you've mentioned before, but it's not a major thing that we worry about. It is there, and it's going to be very relevant for some industries and for some tasks, but you know, we're human story focused, and as far as I'm concerned, we do that from a human perspective.
Completely agree. Yeah, I think the talk about AI can probably go on for hours, to be honest.
Could, yep. Yeah, and we'll have some haters out there and some people who will comment and say that our businesses will be dead within the next 2 years and whatever else. But look, I don't think it's that dire. It's there, and it will benefit some and some tasks. But at the end of the day, people are still going to want human connection. They're still going to want different stories, engaging stories. So as long as you stick true to that, marketers will be fine.
Exactly. Well, it's been lovely chatting. I think we'll wrap it up here, because this could go on for hours. So we might have another chat next year. Especially with what you've got coming up. Jeez.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'll keep you posted on that. I mean, look, if you follow us on, or follow me on LinkedIn, which you do, then you will see that. You'll see one of the documentaries within the first quarter of next year.
Oh, well, I'm definitely going to be sharing that with my audience as well. So
yes, please do. Awesome. I'd appreciate that.
Amazing. I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you so much, Lou.
You're welcome. Great to chat.